Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Hey, that's my line. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And welcome back, Sip&Talkers.
Sip&Talkers, I love it. Yesterday, we dipped our toes into this whole Jinghua City case involving former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je. We talked about the floor area ratio bonus, the political donations.
We did, and a lot of you reached out wanting us to go deeper, so that's what we're doing. We're moving past the public suspicion of, why was expert advice ignored?
Right, or isn't a huge donation basically a bribe? We're going to break down the actual legal arguments here.
Exactly. Today we're focusing on two really critical pieces of the puzzle. First, this idea of administrative acceleration by the Ko team.
And second, the completely wild fact that a key secretary has basically fled the country.
And we're going to unpack what those two things mean in a court of law, because legally speaking, they've created what you could only call a disastrous evidentiary problem for the defense.
Okay, let's get into it.
So first things first, we need to be clear about what the prosecution is actually trying to prove here. The charge is graft, or what's called favoritism intent. This is not like a simple procedural mistake.
Not just forgetting to dot an I or cross a T?
No, not at all. According to Taiwan's Supreme Court, this crime requires what they call direct intent. That means the official has to knowingly violate the law for the specific purpose of giving an illegal benefit to someone else.
Okay, so let's make that super clear for everyone. It's the difference between, say, accidentally speeding and deliberately running a red light because you know it'll let you cut off traffic to win a street race.
Perfect analogy. One is a mistake. The other is a deliberate act with a clear goal.
So the defense's argument is pretty straightforward then. They're saying the decision makers were just, relying on the procedure.
Mm-hmm. They claim they were just trusting the experts in the system, so they had no idea any law was being broken.
But the prosecution's view is...
Yeah.
What? That the whole process was a sham.
Sort of. They argue that even if all the boxes were ticked, the final decision was substantively illegal, that it violated, general principles of public interest.
So they're saying the decision itself was so obviously wrong, so beneficial to this one developer, that the person signing off must have known they were breaking the rules, regardless of the paperwork.
Exactly. And that's a really tough thing to argue in court, which is why the circumstantial evidence becomes so incredibly important.
Which brings us to the speed of it all, the administrative acceleration.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the scale here for a second. The value of this bonus is estimated to be in the tens of billions of new Taiwan dollars. That's hundreds of millions of US dollars.
That's a staggering amount of money.
And when a single decision can generate that much private wealth, any sense that it was rushed, well, that looks really bad.
It's more than bad optics. It becomes a weapon for the prosecution. Normally, a government official could say, I was just trying to be efficient, cut through the red tape.
Yeah, I'm a man of action.
Right. But when the payout is in the billions, that argument it doesn't fly. The prosecution can then argue that this acceleration wasn't about efficiency at all.
It was about excluding dissent.
Precisely. It was about pushing the deal through before anyone inside the system could raise a proper objection. And as the final decision maker, you can't just claim ignorance. The sheer size of the deal puts the responsibility on you to know the risks.
So the speed sets the stage. But the prosecution still needs to prove he knew he was breaking the law.
And that's where the internal warnings come in. This isn't just a vague feeling. We know that professional staff at the Taipei Urban Development Bureau raised specific, serious doubts.
What kind of doubts?
Two big ones. First, they questioned if the developer was even eligible. They weren't sure the property qualified as a dilapidated or messy area, which was the legal requirement for this kind of bonus.
So the entire legal basis for the bonus might have been shaky from the start.
Exactly. And second, they questioned if it was even legal to apply urban renewal bonuses in this specific case at all. They were basically saying, hey, we think you're using the wrong law for a developer who might not even qualify.
Wow. Okay, that's not a small procedural issue. That's a fundamental challenge to the entire project.
It is. But here's the kicker. The most powerful piece of evidence is what happened next. The former deputy mayor, Peng Zhensheng, he reportedly refused to sign off on a key document.
A deputy mayor refusing to sign. That's a massive red flag. That's the emergency brake being pulled inside the administration.
It's a huge deal. It signals high-level dissent, but the document was approved anyway with the mayor's personal signature.
Oof.
Yeah. And for the prosecution, that's the smoking gun for intent. They'll argue that this shows the mayor knowingly bypassed his own deputy, his own internal check and balance, to push the deal through. It wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate choice to ignore warnings.
Okay, now let's get to the most dramatic part of this story. The secretary, Xu Jiyu, also known as Orange. She handled internal finances, relationships, and now she's gone. She's been abroad for a long time, and there's a warrant out for her arrest that's valid until the year 2062.
Her absence has created a truly catastrophic evidentiary situation for the defense. It's hard to even put into words how damaging this is.
Walk us through it. How does her running away hurt the mayor's case?
Well, first, it proves to the court that this case is serious. I mean, you don't become an international fugitive over a simple misunderstanding. Her flight screams, "There are deep, dark secrets here that I cannot afford to have come out." It makes everything the prosecution says seem more credible.
It's like admission of guilt without saying a word.
It really is. Second, remember, she's the one who allegedly handled the political donations. She's the only person who can definitively say what that money was for.
Right. She could be the one to clear his name and say, no, it was a totally normal donation, completely unrelated to the Jinghua City project.
Exactly. But by fleeing, she denies the defense their most crucial witness. Her silence strengthens the accusation that there was a quid pro quo, a direct exchange.
Now, to be fair, the defense has an argument here. They could say she's afraid of political persecution.
Of course.
That she thinks the judicial process is rigged and she's running for her own safety, not because she's guilty.
And that might be true on a human level. But in a court of law, flight is just. It's seen as extremely unfavorable indirect evidence. It tells a judge and jury that you believe the situation is so dire you'd rather be a fugitive than face trial. You lose all credibility.
So the prosecution just connects the dots. Administrative acceleration shows intent to profit. Ignoring warnings shows he knew it was wrong. And the secretary's flight shows a consciousness of guilt.
It's a powerful chain of circumstantial evidence. Very difficult to break.
Which really gets to the core suspicion that I think most people have, How can you take money from someone, then do them a multi-billion-dollar favor, and then claim the two things are totally unrelated?
That's the classic clash between social logic and legal logic. Strong suspicion, it isn't enough to convict someone in a criminal court.
I need to prove that quid pro quo.
Exactly. The Latin term for this, for that. They have to prove, with hard evidence, that the money was given in direct exchange for the official action, not just that the two things happened around the same time.
And the defense's argument is that political donations are just normal. That companies support politicians they agree with, and it has nothing to do with specific projects.
Right. They have to argue the decision was about public interest, not paying back a donor. And this is where the physical evidence becomes so important. The prosecution says they have electronic files, right? Things with code names like Xiaoshen 1500 that allegedly track the money.
But the defense has a fascinating counterattack on this point.
They do. They're attacking the evidence itself. They claim there was a 12-day gap between when the devices were seized and when they were actually analyzed.
12 days.
12 days. And they're arguing that in that time, the evidence could have been tampered with or contaminated. It breaks the chain of custody.
Which is a huge deal. If you can create reasonable doubt that the evidence is pristine, its power in court is just. It's severely diminished.
It could be a major blow to the prosecution's quid pro quo argument. It all comes down to whether they can convince a judge that those files are reliable.
So when you boil it all down, this whole case is a tug of war between two big ideas, isn't it?
What do you mean?
On one hand, you have political morality, the idea that a public official should avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. And on the other, you have the legal minimum requirement, which is that the prosecution has to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that a specific crime was committed with specific intent.
That's a perfect way to put it. And for the defense, their only real path to victory is to get the focus off the flame secretary, off the optics, and back onto the administrative process itself.
They have to prove the decision to grant the bonus was fundamentally legal and sound.
Yes. They have to prove it was based on a legitimate public interest. If they can do that, the entire circumstantial case about illegal intent could just fall apart.
So as you follow this, we really encourage you to engage with all these angles. Think about the power of indirect evidence, the high bar for proving quid pro quo. Our goal here isn't to tell you who's right or wrong.
Absolutely not. It's to make sure the conversation is as broad and deep as possible so you can build your own critical thinking beyond just one single narrative you might see in the headlines.
And please, Check out different authoritative sources. The more information you have, the better. That's how we all break out of our own information bubbles.
Well said.
If you enjoy this kind of conversation, please subscribe to us here at Sip&Talk. And also, do us a favor and check out our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life. He does fun memes, spirits tasting, travel vlogs. It's a great time.
It really is. We'll see you all next time.
See ya.